Hello, and welcome to my full show review of AEW WrestleDream 2024. It's a long show with a lot of matches, so let's just jump right into it, shall we? We're going to be discussing each match as it comes. I'm not going to be doing play-by-play on each match in terms of what happened, because that would take forever. But I am going to be discussing key points, from the matches, overall feelings on the show, how my predictions video went in terms of did the results come out as I expected them to, etc., etc. So we're going to start on the pre-show. This match I only just watched this morning because I tuned into the 0 hour show half an hour later than it started, because I thought it started on the hour. It started at half past the previous hour. So I missed this. I sort of watched it back. I didn't really pay a lot of attention. I'm not super invested in Ring of Honor exclusive stuff, as I don't watch the weekly show. But Brian Cage defeated Atlantis Jr. to become the new ROH television champion. I don't know Atlantis Jr. I know Brian Cage. He's always been super impressive to me. Not just for his physique. Like, the man can do some crazy things. That finisher of his, I've already forgotten the name of it. But it's sort of like his version of a Steiner screwdriver, and it's named sort of like that, but I can't remember. Someone let me know in the comments. But he hit that for the win on Atlantis Jr. And wins the ROH TV title, which I didn't predict. I predicted that pre-shows are for babyfaces. So yeah, I predicted Atlantis Jr. to retain based only on the fact that I assumed he was the babyface and Brian Cage was the heel in that scenario. And I'm 0 for 1 on predictions. What a great start. Next, MXM introduced Rico as their mysterious manager, third man, valet, second, I think it's called in Japan, right? You have your second in your corner. I don't know if it's still called a second when it's a tag match, because technically it's the third, but whatever. They introduced Rico, who obviously has lots of history with Billy Gunn, so that was probably a fun moment live, but again, I only just watched that this morning because I tuned in just in time for the start of the second match, which I was very grateful for, because that second match was Anna Jay versus Harley Cameron. Wow. Y'all know what I mean. This match was fine, so were the women involved, oh my goodness. But yeah, this Harley Cameron, for all that I talk about her looks, because I don't think she personally minds people talk about her looks. Let's be real. She kind of plays on it, and rightly so. It looks incredible. But what were commentary saying? She's had like 16 matches. She's insane for someone who's had 16 matches. Like, the sky probably is the limit for that woman if she keeps going at the trajectory she's on. Anna Jay's always been good and solid and, you know, very competent. I don't think I've ever found Anna Jay, in terms of her wrestling, particularly exciting. But she's very good, I think it's fair to say. I don't know if that's maybe me being a bit unfair on her, but that's how I feel about Anna Jay bell to bell. I predicted Anna Jay to win because it was fairly obvious, and she did. So 1 out of 2. Yay, 50-50. Definitely won't see that theme repeating itself throughout the show. Up next was the Acclaimed with Billy Gunn versus MXM Collective with Rico. I predicted MXM Collective to win because they were going to have a mystery person, and I actually remember. So basically what happened was my phone just randomly restarted itself. Like, I think it was about halfway through the Shibata Perry match, and I lost my notes. But one thing I do distinctly remember from my notes up to that point was me putting, now I know it's Rico. I wish I'd predicted the Acclaim to win. I should have done, because, by the way, Anna Jay winning, babyface winning on the pre-show. Pre-shows are for babyfaces, guys. But I predicted the heels here because they had the mystery, and I thought the mystery might lead to like a trios match if they win here with the mystery. Obviously, that's probably not going to happen with Rico. He was, let's say, showing his age, because Rico was not a spring chicken when he showed up in WWE in like 2002. I think he was like pushing 40 then, so he must be like 60 now. So he looked really good for 60. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to dunk on the guy. I'm just saying maybe he's not quite in ring shape and really particularly interested in coming back to the ring full time or even for a short run. Like, that would be absolutely fair. But good for Rico getting a payday here. As soon as I knew it was Rico, though, I was like, yeah, I wish I'd predicted the Acclaimed. And sure enough, the Acclaimed did win. But I did predict MXM Collective, so that's me 1 from 3. Billy Gunn got his hands on Rico. There was a bit of a moment I didn't like before the match where Billy Gunn said something about Rico. It wasn't so much what he said, it was how he said it. He was like, Rico forced me to almost marry another guy. And it wasn't like, first of all, in kayfabe, I'm pretty sure the wedding did actually happen. Billy and Chuck did get married. But second of all, it wasn't the emphasis wasn't on the forced, which, let's be real, if you know your wrestling history, it didn't feel like Rico was forcing them. It felt like they were both willing participants during the storyline. But it wasn't the word forced, which would imply that him being forced into any marriage would be a problem. It was the way he said forced to marry another guy, like with such disdain on the guy, and then to turn to Anthony Bowens and say, no offense, Anthony, or something like that. Like, come on, man. I didn't like that. I'll be honest as well. The MXM are a bit. It feels like they're being homoerotic for cheap heat and a bit of a laugh, which I'm not sure how well that translates in 2024, if we're being perfectly honest with each other. Like, I mean, Anthony Bowens was in this match as a gay man and seemed to, I mean, he was on TV, so, maybe he couldn't react how he would have if it was in private, but he seemed okay with Billy Gunn's line. He sort of put his hands up and said, as if to say, no problem, and he seemed okay with the MXM Collective's antics, except for obviously not being okay with it in character. But, like, I don't know how the man really feels about it behind the sort of the on-TV mask, and even then, I still felt a bit uncomfortable with some of the stuff in this match. Like, they're supposed to be flamboyant. They're supposed to be fashion guys. Why do they have to be like, for example, Madden hitting that bum hit to the face of Matt Caster was great. That was really funny. Like, because one, he put some stank on it, so it looked like it might actually have hurt, because the man really did, like, hit the guy in the head with his bum. And that was great. But then he immediately, like, stacks him up in that, like, suggestive pin that Rhea Ripley does. And that then feels unnecessary. And I think that's where the line is for me. Is like them being flamboyant and them being, like fashion guys and what have you, feels fine to me. But as soon as it's like, the implication is that therefore they must be gay. Do you know what I mean? Like, can straight men not be into fashion? And this isn't me saying, oh, woe is straight people. I'm saying, like, this is against gay people. In that, oh, you're gay, you must love fashion and mincing around and, I don't know. It doesn't feel very 2024. Anyway, I've given enough time to that slight. Let me know in the comments what you think about that. I'm probably going to get some people being like, oh, suck it up, Snowflake, and what have you. But, like, I'm not really offended by stuff that's, like, intentionally offended. I feel like this is just insensitive, though. Like, I feel like that's a difference. I feel like if you're going for offensive, it's like, it kind of is a bit water off a duck's back to me, because that was your goal. But when it's just kind of stupid and insensitive, I think that hits harder in a way. Anyway, the fourth and final pre-show match, I don't believe was pre-announced, so I didn't predict. It's the Outrunners, Kyle O'Reilly and Orange Cassidy versus Arya Daivari, Tony Nese, Alex Reynolds and John Silver. RJ City tried to get them called the Orange Runners or something. I don't know what his rubbish one was, but Excalibur was right. It's definitely the Conglomerate Runners. Like, let's be real. That's a much better portmanteau, as he pointed out on commentary. And then they were talking about what's called the other team. And I think it was Tony Schiavone somehow managed to suggest the dark athletes, and it was just the other two were just like, no, Tony, no, think before you speak. It was quite funny, to be fair. But yeah, the Conglomerate Runners won because of course they did. Like, I predicted that the moment they came out, it didn't even really matter who they were fighting, but as soon as the Premier Athletes music hit, I was like, okay, yeah, that's cemented. I didn't do an official prediction of it though, so I'm not counting it in my predictions. I'm still 1 from 3, but just know, I, along with everyone else in the world, knew that the Conglomerate Runners were winning that match. And I think on my original notes, I actually made a comment about how I was rethinking my prediction for the tag title match because I had kind of forgotten about the conglomeration and, most importantly, the Outrunners. And I think now the Outrunners are my favourites to actually be the next AEW Tag Team Champions. Maybe not immediately, but I think that might be where they're going. I think they should really capitalise on this popularity. Anyway, there was a backstage segment with Okada showing up, and I think it was Renee. It was probably Renee. She does all the backstage interviews, right? She does millions of them. She was like, "Why are you here?" And he was like, "I'm here to support," and then opens up his jacket, and he's got the Elite shirt on. The Elite, big cheesy grin. Then Kyle O'Reilly rocks up and challenges him to a match. I think he says, like, we've never fought and I'd like to. And then Okada says no in some sort of comedic way, drops a bitch, because of course he does. That's always a fun time, right? And then Kyle O'Reilly's like, okay, fair enough, yeah, maybe I should change my approach a little bit, and then just punches him in the face, which I really liked. I really like Kyle O'Reilly. I think he's very naturally likable. He feels like the sort of dude where it's like, oh, you can go, like, hang out, like, go for a dinner and what have you with any wrestler. Kyle O'Reilly's high on that list. He feels like a really, like, decent, approachable, fun dude with a good sense of humor and just, down to earth. Like, it feels like he just plays himself on TV and he's just having a good time. But yeah, the naturalness, if that's the word, of the delivery and the sort of the little bit of humour in it, yeah, chef's kiss. No notes. Well done, Kyle O'Reilly. And then obviously they start brawling. That's broken up pretty quickly by security. Then Christopher Daniels says, no, we've got a night full of people fighting to focus on. We can't have people fighting to distract us. And then kicks them both out the arena, which I suppose is just kind of done, to set up Okada O'Reilly at some point in the near future, hopefully as soon as this week on Dynamite. I can't remember if it was actually announced or not. Maybe not. But it also removes Okada from the equation for the tag title match later, I guess, was kind of the point here. And gets Okada on the pay-per-view. So, well, on the pre-show. Anyway, speaking of the pay-per-view, it kicked off properly with Jay White versus Adam Page, which I thought was a surprising choice for opener, because, to be honest, I think both men are very, very, very incredibly talented, and I'm a big fan of both men, even if I was a little late to the Jay White party. I didn't expect this match to bang quite like it did. Like, I saw it as the opener, I was like, I would have personally picked probably the tag title match, or maybe even the triple threat, although having everyone follow the triple threat would have been harsh, to say the least. But, yeah, I would have picked one of them as the opener, personally, but this match served really well as the opener. It got the crowd, like, really I mean, the crowd were already going from the pre-show. The crowd were hot all night, like, kudos to that crowd. But yeah, we had Jay White versus Adam Page, and I was very surprised to see Jay White win this one, especially clean. Like, I think someone mentioned on social media, I think maybe on Threads, that they sort of expected Swerve to show up and cost Hangman, but they were surprised to see Jay White win clean. And I was just surprised to see Jay White win at all. Like, I thought Hangman Page was going to be on, like, a massive upward trajectory, and he still can be, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not saying, oh, he's dead in the water, he's lost one match, I'm not that guy. But I just thought he wasn't going to lose for a while after the way he finished the match with Swerve and like the revenge tour continues. But no, Jay White's own personal little revenge tour, which consists of 2 people, and he won't tell us the second one. Yeah, and Jay White, by the way, even though he's a babyface, was still very much Jay White. He was very, very cerebral and strategic, and worked over the leg of Hangman Page, and then kind of was doing things like taking hits to give hits, and he even baited in the buckshot lariat for the finish, where he sort of darted in to catch Hangman as he landed and then hit the Blade Runner. Jay White very intelligent wrestler, and I'm glad he's not become stupid just by becoming a babyface, because that a lot of wrestlers do, if we're being perfectly honest. But I predicted Adam Page to win, so I'm 1 from 4, baby. Going great. It's going great. However, I was pretty happy to see Mariah May, not just for that reason, in the next match, because I knew that prediction was going to go well. She was defending the Women's Championship against Willow Nightingale. This match was great. Lots of fun. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I never bought into the idea of Willow winning, just because, honestly, it's kind of Mariah May's fault, because in the build-up, she did talk about Willow. Well, it's not all Mariah May's fault. I'll talk about I talked in my prediction video about the fact that the story here is clearly Mariah and Mina, and then Mariah and Tony. And the title's going to be involved in all of that, as far as I can tell. So that's one thing. But the other thing was Mariah May just talking about how Willow keeps sort of failing upwards. So, loses a match, then moves up a division. And it's the build for Willow has not been great, honestly, to get her to this point. And if you're going to turn Chris Statlander babyface anyway, why not have her go for the women's world title after having just won that street fight? I don't understand why Willow was here. Not because Willow isn't deserving and isn't a great talent. She just lost a huge grudge match against her enemy of months, and then just gets a world title shot. And it's whereas the other one's fighting with the TBS champion, which is supposedly the secondary women's title, but she's fighting with her bodyguard. Not even with her bodyguard at the moment. Obviously it's probably going to lead to a TBS title shot, but I don't know. Kind of weird booking, if you ask me. Anyway, yeah, I obviously predicted Mariah May to win. 2 from 5. We're getting there. And then the next match I was also pretty confident in. And this is the first one where I've got full notes. Which doesn't mean I'm going to be talking a lot longer, because you know me, I can waffle anyway. But yeah, just so you know, all of that was kind of off the cuff from memory. So if I missed anything, do let me know in the comments. But try not to be mad at me, because I went to bed at 5 a.m. when it finished here in the UK. I have ADHD, out the wazoo. So if I forgot anything, yeah, that's the combination of why. Next match was Katsuyori Shibata challenging Jack Perry for the TNT Championship. This match was good, pretty much as expected is what I put. This match was very predictably Jack Perry versus Shibata, if that makes sense to you. If you don't have aphantasia, or aphantasia as I've heard it pronounced, but I just call it aphantasia, anyway, whatever. If you don't have that, like I do, close your eyes, and I know maybe you've just watched the match, but try not to let this match influence you, but run through in your mind, imagine a whole Shibata versus Jack Perry match. It looks like the one last night, right? And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, it was a good match, it's just, yeah, it was very much as I expected it to be, including the finish, which was Jack Perry. Well, not the exact finish, it was quite a clever finish, actually. Jack Perry arching up in the sleeper and pinning Shibata's shoulders, supposedly, but Shibata had his arms forward, which rounds the shoulders, so I'm not sure if Shibata's shoulders were really flat to the mat, but whatever, it was the planned finish, and it was a decent finish that was booed like crazy by the fans. I think partially booing Jack Perry, but I think the fans just felt like that was a bit of a nonsense finish, but I liked it personally. Anyway, so I predicted Jack Perry to win. I didn't feel like Shibata was the person to dethrone Jack Perry. I really don't. I think it's going to take something quite big to dethrone Jack Perry. I think he's on quite a run at the moment. So I got back to my 50-50 ratio. 3 out of 6. Yeah, boy. The dizzy heights of 50-50 predictions. After the match, Perry went to attack Shibata with the belt. Daniel Garcia made the save, and people were very excited about the prospect of Daniel Garcia versus Jack Perry. Until MJF's music hit, and he came back and then squared up to Daniel Garcia, and then Jack Perry hit Garcia in the back of the head with the title. So I assume we are going to see Garcia versus MJF, and this was just a way of transitioning from MJF versus Daniel Garcia to MJF versus Adam Cole, baby. Now, I have some notes on this return. Don't get on my back about this. I have some notes. I'm a big fan of continuity in wrestling. And there was a lot of continuity missing here, in my opinion. So a few people brought up the fact that when Adam Cole came back as very clearly a babyface, is he now just not in the Undisputed Kingdom? Are we just going to drop that? I mean, some people have been saying they've been acting a little bit more babyface recently. Maybe they turn face to realign with Adam Cole. That's a potential. Maybe they try to realign with Adam Cole and he turns them down, and they return to that feud a little bit, the Roderick Strong versus Adam Cole feud. But like, my issue isn't the United Kingdom. That's where I live. The Undisputed King, doxing myself. The Undisputed Kingdom thing. My issue is with Adam Cole coming back as a babyface just because MJF's a heel. Like, MJF being a heel doesn't change the fact that MJF as a babyface was canonically genuine. Like, when he turned heel because the fans cheered Samoa Joe. This was his thinking. Yes, it was a You People promo, and we all know how cliche those are. But this was his reasoning. The fans were cheering for Samoa Joe and chanting "Thank you, Joe" when Joe injured MJF. After MJF opened up, let the fans in, let Adam Cole in, who then betrayed him. All of the MJF babyface stuff was genuine. He was genuinely trying to be a better person and was genuinely enjoying having the fans on side. It wasn't some big, long con ruse. He was genuinely babyface for that time. So the fact that Adam Cole betrayed that broke everyone's hearts because everyone knew it was coming, but everyone loved the MJF Adam Cole pairing, right? And then, because he was injured, then takes some more time off because he re-aggravates his injury or whatever. And then comes back to a massive pop just because MJF's heel. And suddenly he's playing to the crowd, he's smiling, he's fist bumping Daniel Garcia, he's just good guy Adam Cole. I don't like it. I'll be honest, I don't like it. I think this was one of those instances where you probably could have done heel versus heel and just had it be like quite brief, like a 1 month program, like a one pay-per-view cycle program, but have it be real personal. Like, and just, who cares that they're both heels? Everyone just pick a side, you know, kind of thing. Pick a side that you hate less. I don't like when people are babyface by default. Another thing I don't like in wrestling is when there's a heel team, someone is kicked out of the heel team, and by default they are now a babyface. They did nothing to turn babyface except be turned on by their friends. So yeah, you could argue there's some sympathy there, which is fine to an extent, but they haven't done anything to earn the crowd's adulation. They have just been attacked, and like they had something happen to them to gain the crowd's support. They haven't changed as a person, and quite often what you find is they do immediately change as a person and become this babyface version of themselves, even though they had no plans on becoming a good guy anytime soon before their friend turned their back on them. I don't know. It's just a bugbear of mine. Let me know in the comments what some like little petty bugbears of yours are in wrestling. But that's just one of mine. So as much as it's great to see Adam Cole back, like, I was excited. I popped for the music hitting as well. I was like, oh wow, okay, cool. Like, I was excited for it. With a little bit of hindsight and thought, like, if I was in the crowd, I would have popped like crazy as well. Like, don't get me wrong. You know, I'm not having a go at people for enjoying the return, like, far from it. I'm just saying, after I sat and thought about it for a bit, Adam Cole should just be a heel right now. He just should. Anyway, the next match was the... So, I saw someone put on social media, I can't remember if it was Twitter or Threads, but put that I thought they were going to follow up all those returns with the Chris Jericho match so we could cool a bit. No, they're trying to kill us, which I thought was a really funny way of putting it. Because, yeah, up next was the triple threat match for the Continental Championship. Konosuke Takeshita versus Ricochet versus Will Ospreay. I put, not sure how I feel about shorts Ricochet. I did get a good meme out there, if I do say so myself, which was, you know, the line of text from Pokemon, "Hi, I like shorts. They're comfy and easy to wear." That, but with Ricochet saying it instead of the Pokemon dude. Yeah, I enjoyed that. Anyway, yeah, this match was incredible. Of course it was. In fact, no, it wasn't incredible, because incredible means unbelievable. Like that's what it literally means, incredible. And no, I fully believed it was this good, because of course it was. Have you seen the three guys involved? Like, it was awesome though. It was an amazing match. Towards the end, Ricochet was put through the table by Takeshita. Then when Takeshita got back in the ring, Ospreay hit a hidden blade, but only got a 1 count, which was wild. Then he hit another one, and then Don Callis dragged the referee out at 2. To save Takeshita from the pin. Enters the ring with a screwdriver and goes for Ospreay, who disarms him and gets him in position for the... I don't think he was thinking Tiger Driver. He might have been thinking Tiger Driver, but he might have been thinking of that Storm... It's not Storm Zero, is it? Isn't that Tony Storm? What do you call it? I can't remember. That one where he picks it up on the shoulder. Like, obviously he was never going to successfully do that to Don Callis, but that seemed to be what he was sort of hinting at. Anyway, then a mysterious man, Kyle Fletcher, in a hoodie, whose face we definitely couldn't see, Kyle Fletcher, and whose hair definitely didn't give it away because it was sticking out from under the hood, Kyle Fletcher, and yeah, who was absolutely no surprise at all, Kyle Fletcher, turned up with his hood up, grabbed the screwdriver off the floor that Dan Callis had dropped, and hit Ospreay in the back of the head with it. And Ospreay sold this really weird because, like, I don't know, I play Hitman, guys. When you get, when I stab you with a screwdriver, you die. So he should have been, like, at the very least, like, KO'd, like... I'm not saying he should have died to sell it. Like, where's your commitment, man? Die. But no, he, then again, Brian Danielson, sorry. I don't know where that came from, like, whatever. Anyway, but, yeah, he sold it more like he was just, like Kyle Fletcher had flicked his ear and it had annoyed him, but upset him because how could you do that to me, my friend? And I get they wanted the emotional reaction, but I don't know, it just didn't seem, like, dramatic enough for the fact they'd just been hit in the back of the head or neck with a screwdriver. There was no blood either, which, just like a blood pellet or something, you know, like where when Ospreay grabs his head, he just smashes the blood pellet onto the back of his head or something, and, like, blood's coming out. Like, it was a damn screwdriver, guys. Anyway, then Takeshita hits the knee while Ospreay's trying to figure out what's going on with Kyle Fletcher, and then Kyle Fletcher hit the Tiger Driver. Oh wait, that was how they got the 3, right? The match wasn't even over yet. Then I think it was Kyle Fletcher went and got the ref and chucked him back in the ring, and then Takeshita got the 3. I almost forgot that this was a match. Like, I'm talking about it like it was a segment. No, this was still in the match, and this wasn't even an angle. And then yeah, so Takeshita won the Continental Championship. So I went 3 from 7 on predictions. Go me. I really thought they were gonna keep this off Takeshita and go back to Takeshita Okada at some point, but I guess we're not doing that for a while. Or maybe they'll do it title versus title, or maybe they'll do it non-title, or I don't know. We'll wait and see. Anyway, after the match, then that's when Fletcher hit the Tiger Driver on Ospreay for the exclamation point. And Ospreay sold that like it was... I mean, granted, he gets dropped on his head, but he's also been stabbed with a screwdriver, and he sold one significantly more than the other, which is interesting. Next we have a really weird backstage segment where Jerry Lynn's requested some interview time with Orange Cassidy. And praises him and tells him he can be the man if he just tries. And I guess they're trying to push Orange Cassidy up a level, and that's great. I'm all for that. It's a weird way to do it, a random Jerry Lynn appearance. Like, don't get me wrong, I've got all the respect in the world for Jerry Lynn and everything he accomplished in his wrestling career and what he does behind the scenes now and what have you. Like, don't get me, it just felt weird. It just felt weirdly out of place. Like, why Jerry Lynn? Why now? You know, like, none of that was really explained. Maybe it will be going forward, but it just seems a bit, I don't know. Bit strange. Anyway, then Hook randomly showed up, taking time out from hunting down the person who attacked his father to go, yeah, you're the man, and then walked off. So, like, obviously to Orange Cassidy. Like, weird segment, guys. I like everyone involved in this segment, and it was just weird. It was just weird. Anyway, next we've got Prince Nana in the ring, who, let me check my notes, introduces Swerve Strickland. No, shills his coffee. And then introduces Swerve Strickland. Swerve comes out, gives us an update, says he's still got tingling in his neck and in his fingers sometimes, but he is medically cleared to compete, which by the way, sounds like a questionable decision on the part of the doctor. But he was talking, and he was doing this on purpose, of course, but he was talking like a turn was coming. And then MVP, and this is before MVP and Shelton Benjamin came out, by the way, his demeanor felt like there was a turn coming, in a way. Then MVP and Shelton Benjamin come out, And I made a note, Swerve versus Shelty B would be fire. I put that as they were coming down to the ring. I was like, oh my god, imagine that match. Then Swerve, obviously, more openly teased turning on Nana, flipped it into gratitude for Nana. Like, he was talking about how he'd lost the AEW World title in his childhood home and lost the match to Hangman Adam Page, all under Nana's watch. And then he flipped it and was like, but I wouldn't have had the AEW World Championship. I wouldn't have had my childhood family home. I wouldn't have been in that position against Hangman Adam Page were it not for you. You know, so, like, he flipped back babyface. Then he teased the fact that it was tempting to team up with MVP. And then turns back to Nana and he's like listing all the things that bug him about Nana. And he mentions selling weed to high school kids. Like, what was that about? Is there some backstory to that I don't know about? Like, has Nana actually been in trouble for that or something? Like, that felt so out of left field. Anyway, but he listed off a bunch of things that he disliked and that bugged him about Prince Nana. But then he said, but your family, and then he got right up in MVP's face and said, and I don't turn my back on family for nobody. You know, so he stayed face, and I think that's the right decision, to be honest, in keeping them together at the moment. Like, you could eventually turn him, but why pass up on the opportunity to have Shelton Benjamin versus Swerve first? I personally would actually keep Swerve face. I think the fans really want to support that man, and they want to support him even if he's dastardly. So I think keeping him face is the right decision. And you can always do what you did with Bryan Danielson and just turn him heel for the night kind of thing. You know, like when he's facing another uber babyface, he can always just drop into that heel role for one night, and no one will ever hold it against him, which I think is a great spot to be in. Then Shelton Benjamin squares up to Swerve and says there is no you without us, and we're sort of like, we weren't asking you, we were telling you you're joining us, you know, or we'll end you kind of thing. This segment was a roller coaster of emotions. They were deliberately, you know, doing the, oh, he's turning, oh, no, he's not, oh, he's turning, oh, no, he's not, and, you know, and it was really good fun, and I'm really excited for the eventual Swerve Strickland-Shelton Benjamin match. I think that could be great fun. Right. Mercedes Moné versus Queen Aminata was announced at Dynamite. That reminds me, there is something I missed on the pre-show. Mercedes Moné and Camille were arriving backstage, and Queen Aminata was talking to like some production guy, some guy in a headset. And Mercedes Moné kind of interrupted and like demanded he tell her where her locker room is, and was quite rude about it. And Queen Aminata was like, I don't care who you are, don't talk to people like that. And that was basically the segment. And then Moné was like, I don't know who you are. Which is always the harshest thing to say to someone who's been wrestling on national TV. Like The Rock saying who are you to Booker T was like the reason Sting didn't sign with WWE back then, if I remember correctly, because it's such a burial. Who are you? So cruel. But anyway, so yeah, fast forward to present time in the review. Yeah, that's announced at Dynamite. So that should be fun. There's absolutely no doubt in anyone's mind, I imagine, that Mercedes Moné is winning that match. But it'll be fine. It'll be good fun, I guess. Then probably Camille will get involved either at the finish or after the finish, and then we'll see Chris Statlander again, and we'll use Queen Aminata to build the other feud. Is what I see them doing there. By the way, why was Mercedes Moné there if she's not booked for a match? Also, why is Mercedes Moné not booked for a match? Why did we have 13 matches and 2 of them were women's matches and 1 was on the pre-show? So on the main show, you're on 9 matches, 1 of which is a women's match. That's ludicrous, guys. They've got such a good women's division. They've got such a good... Look at who was not on this show. Just do a little mental exercise, or do it in the comments if you want. Start listing women that were not on this show. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Anyway, next match was the 2 out of 3 falls match. Hologram versus Beast Mortos. So on Twitter, I do polls for every match when I'm live tweeting, when I'm like actually watching a show live. I just put who you got and then the options as a poll. I think like half of people thought that Beast Mortos was winning this match. And I don't understand that. Like, I thought this was very obvious from the moment it was announced. Hologram's winning 2-1. Beast Mortos is going to get to be the first guy to pin Hologram, but he's not going to get to beat him. I thought that was really obvious. Anyway, so this isn't a problem with AEW before anyone starts jumping on my back like, oh, E-Zone. WWE have been doing this for years. I know, and it's bugged me with WWE for years, but I just want to bring this up. Why do they throw to foreign announce teams in the middle of the broadcast? Like, they get their flowers by being the announce team for their language. Like, for anyone, like the Spanish announce team, for example. Anyone watching in South America except Brazil, in Mexico, in Spain, I guess, probably. Do they broadcast in Spain? I'm guessing they probably broadcast throughout Europe. Like, I don't see why they wouldn't. Etc., etc. Like, that... They're already, like, getting paid to do their job. Why are they showing the English-speaking audience a couple of guys speaking Spanish for 20 seconds when the vast majority of us probably don't speak any Spanish? What value does it add? I'm not going to switch my commentary option because you've shown me it's available in Spanish. If I wanted to watch it in Spanish, I probably already know it's in Spanish. And if I don't, you've waited until just before the 9th match, including the pre-show, before telling me it's also available in Spanish, which feels a bit stupid. But the other thing is, I don't think I can change my commentary option. I didn't go looking for the option, but I'm not aware of an option to change what language commentary I'm listening to, like you can on the WWE Network, on the various platforms that AEW broadcast on. I'm not aware of that option. So, like, I'd have to literally be like, oh, they broadcast in Spanish as well. Hang on, let me just go catch a flight to Spain, or let me get a VPN and change my location to Spain and start watching the show in Spanish. Like, what are they expecting people to do with the information? This is also being broadcast in Spanish. I don't get it. And WWE have been doing it for decades. I get that. I just wanted to have a little rant about it. If you know what the actual purpose of that is, let me know in the comments. But I can't see an actual purpose, to be honest. Anyway. Hologram with the first fall with a top rope crucifix driver that, honestly, again, going back to social media, I think this was Threads, someone said, I can't actually wrap my head around what someone has to physically do, like what the human physics is to hit that move. And same, I don't get it. Like, it was insane. The guy's incredible. I mean, both of these guys are incredible, let's be honest, but they're just, I don't even understand. I don't even understand that move. It was great, though. I think he maybe followed it up with something else, but that's the move I remember from that fall. Then Martos gets the second fall with a discus lariat, I believe it was, and cements the first time that Hologram has been pinned in AEW, and I think it was Tony Schiavone mentioned that, which I'm glad they mentioned it. I want Beast Martos to have that little rub. I think he, of all people, deserves it, because Beast Martos is great, by the way, and he's kind of just being overshadowed by the fact that he's not Hologram at the moment. And it's like, if Hologram wasn't about, I feel like Beast Martos would be getting the Hologram push. So I kind of feel a bit bad for him. Just unlucky that Hologram's the shiny toy that they want at the moment. And then Hologram obviously gets the third fall with a spinny bomb thing. I think it's like his finish. I'll be honest, my notes are lacking from this match, and my attention to this match wasn't what it should have been. I might go back and rewatch, actually, because I'm sure it was an incredibly fun match. I did put the bits I saw, it was a very fun match, but some bits were a bit contrived, and I know that's kind of a bit more lucha, like lucha libre, a bit more sort of Mexican style, where it's a lot more flowy and what's the word? What's the word I'm looking for, guys? Choreographed looking. Obviously, the whole thing is choreographed in wrestling, but it's much more choreographed looking, in my opinion. And a lot of this looked like that, but it was really well done. So, you know, what can you do? I called all of it, including the score. 4 from 8, back to 50-50, guys. Can I ever get above 50-50? Well, yes, in fact, in the next match. Darby Allin versus Brody King. I made a note from the video package, which is Darby still can't afford bus fare. Like, what? Man's on a full-time AEW contract, so why can't he just get the bus? I know, that's not the point. I know, I'm just being silly. So, there was a gnarly spot. I don't do a lot of play-by-play, but I wanted to mention this spot, because it really... I don't know how they did this safely. Like, fair play. I don't understand the crucifix driver thing that Hologram did in the last match. I don't understand this, where Brody King put the steps on Darby Allin's midsection and then walked up them. I don't understand how that was safe. Maybe, like, Darby Allin had his feet up on the inside of the steps, pushing upwards. But, God, Darby Allin does not look that strong where I would trust that. I don't know. Crazy. Speaking of things not being safe, obviously they were safe. Both guys, you know, professionals, and Darby Allin's just a professional head case, so maybe it wasn't that safe. But top rope German suplexes terrify me. But there was a couple of them in this match. Then Brody King was pushed off the top rope onto the steps that were like on their side on the floor at ringside, which is a hell of a bump. Like just the thud when he hit the steps. And then Darby Allin followed it up with a coffin drop. Got back in the ring. It was a 9 count, which I don't know why Darby Allin, after talking about how he'd never managed to pin Brody King, was accepting a count-out win. But aside from that little logic gap, the referee kind of counted 9, swung at the ropes, threw his hands up, stopped, and Brody King slid under the ropes. And then the referee was like, nope, that was 9. And it's like, you clearly made the motion for 10, my guy. Like, you guys timed that slightly wrong, in my opinion. But, you know, anyway, immediately Darby Allin hits the coffin drop off the top to the back of Brody King as he's, like, on his belly, just slid into the ring and then rolls him over and pins him, which I predicted. So, yeah, 5 out of 9. I put it as a mad match, lots of fun. Yeah, like, this was always going to be this kind of match, but they went above and beyond with the step spots and the massive Germans off the top, like, crazy stuff. And then Brody King offered Darby Allin a handshake and Darby accepted afterwards. Like, you've earned my respect, which is an overused trope in wrestling, but I feel like after that battle, like after Darby Allin survives you doing all that to him and then puts you through what he put you through as well, like, yeah, Brody King should respect Darby Allin in character after that, so fair enough. Next we had the tag title match, Young Bucks defending against Private Party. Very fun tag match. Back to feeling a bit like all AEW tag matches are the same, in my opinion. I've been complaining about this in recent times in a lot of my reviews, and I think it was the last Young Bucks match where I was like, no, this one was better, this one was above. Like, they're all good matches, don't get me wrong, but they all just feel to me. I don't know. They all feel. I think by comparison they all just feel because they all feel the same, so none of them are special. You know, like how back in the day, you wouldn't really realise how big wrestlers were because they were all big. So it was only when you, a normal-sized person, were put face-to-face with the wrestler, you'd be like, oh my god, that guy's huge. Like, kind of that. They don't look that big because all the other people are big. These tag matches don't, to me, seem that good because all of the tag matches are that good. And, like, it's a weird criticism to levy, but they're all kind of formatted the same. Lots of false finishes, lots of saves from pins, lots of wild double teams and stuff. Yeah, and they all kind of, the moves are slightly different. Like, I'm not saying they're exactly the same match. I'm not trying to say that for a second. They just don't excite me like they used to. And I feel sad about that, honestly, because I really enjoyed AEW's tag division for the longest time. Anyway, the finish of this match crushed the crowd. Like, I think everyone just wanted Private Party to win here. I predicted Private Party to win. They didn't, so I'm 5 out of 10. But, yeah, I put, just like in the pre-show, my money's now on the Outrunners dethroning the Bucks. And after the match, we had the smug Stokely smirk, I called it, the Triple S. He was shown at ringside, you know, smirking smugly at the fact that Private Party had turned him down and now lost that match. So I think there's going to be some more character development between Private Party and Stokely to come. Maybe even a heel turn for Private Party at some point. And there was a moment where they were lingering on Private Party, lamenting the loss a bit too much, and I was like, is one of these guys going to turn on the other? Like, and I was like, I don't think they should do that. Like, I like Private Party as a team. I don't see either one's singles ceiling being particularly high. At least not at this stage in the career. Like, you know, maybe a few years down the line things can change, but right now, I would not split them up. Their ceiling as a team is higher than their ceiling as individuals. So I'm glad they didn't do the breakup, but I thought they were teasing it at one point because they stayed focused on those boys for a long time. And I was like, oh. Like, Zay was crushed, sat on the floor, and I was like, is Quinn just going to, like, you know, pagger him from behind, like, while he sat there, lamenting the fact that he just lost? Or is Zay going to get so frustrated with himself that he gets up and just lays into Quinn? Like, I could see it going either way at different points in that, like, post-match lamentation segment, but it didn't, and that's good. Speaking of things that didn't happen, and that's good, next up was Chris Jericho versus Mark Briscoe for the Ring of Honor World title. And I put, I put in my notes. Could anything deflate me quicker than a Jericho win here? Oh, hi, JR. I feel, whenever I hear JR turn up on commentary on an AEW show in 2024, I'm just like, oh, I was enjoying commentary. Like, I don't think he's got it anymore, and I don't think he cares that much. If I'm being perfectly honest, I just don't think he cares. And I think you've got a team of 3 commentators who work together really well. Well, you've got 4, really, because obviously when Taz is back, you can sort of rotate any of those 4. And they all bounce off each other well. They all care. They all put over the match and the talent, and they all, put over the stories being told. And, Tony Schiavone, bless his soul, has got so into AEW. Like, at first, he was, in my opinion, on the same boat as JR, but he's bought in my opinion, and he seems to love the stuff. Like, some of the stuff he's calling now, in terms of, like, knowing the names of moves and knowing the history of certain wrestlers, he wouldn't have known at the start of Dynamite, in my opinion. Like, he just didn't care enough. But now he seems to really, like, actually enjoy it, and I'm here for Tony Schiavone enjoying AEW. Like, I love it. But, yeah, JR just doesn't do it for me anymore at all. So anyway, so Big Bill was interfering at one point, and then Orange Cassidy came out and like punched it. Orange punched him a few times to chase him to the back. Put him on notes. Jericho is worse than Nia Jax for me at the moment. So let me explain. To me, 2 wrestlers that whenever I see them, I'm just like, ugh. Like, not, oh, this is heel heat. I hate this person because of their character, because of their dastardly acts. I want to see them lose. Just, I'm actually tempted to turn off. Is, at the moment, Chris Jericho and Nia Jax. Nia Jax, it's been for a long time. Chris Jericho, it's been for a while now. Like, because we need a break from you, my dude. But, I just don't enjoy either. At all. And I just want them off my screen. However, at the moment, Nia Jax, like, her match with Bayley recently wasn't great. Don't get me wrong. But generally, like, character work and some of the in-ring stuff, she's doing the best work of her career. So I can, like, at least appreciate that and give her credit where it's due for that. Chris Jericho isn't. Chris Jericho's just taking up a spot at the moment. Like, he's in the semi-main event. Like, I saw someone on social media say, I don't like to think about Jericho in the semi-main, I like to think it's Mark Briscoe in the semi-main. And I'm like, yeah, that's a nice way to think about it. Kudos to Mark Briscoe for getting a semi-main on an AEW pay-per-view. Love that for him. And just a shame it had to be against Chris Jericho. But I'm glad they didn't put the title on him. I'm glad they did the right thing here. Brian Keith hit Briscoe with, I believe, with Jericho's bat. I didn't actually see what the interference was, and I don't believe they replayed it. But that only got a near fall. Then Rocky Romero came out and fights Brian Keith to the back. Jericho hits a Judas effect, but doesn't go for the pin because he doesn't want people kicking out the Judas effect, especially not Mark Briscoe. Ugh. Like, I don't know, just let him kick out of it. But anyway, he went for the J Driller afterwards, which was a nice touch, and Mark Briscoe kicking out of that and then getting mad at how dare you, hulking up, and then beating down Jericho, hitting the Froggy Bow, the J Driller, and getting the 3 was a really nice finish. I personally would have added a Judas Effect kick out. I'd have gone Judas Effect 2, J Driller 2, finish. Like, the finish as it played out, personally. But I'm nitpicking. I'm back above 50-50, baby. 6 out of 11. I'm doing so well. And honestly, this is the match I cared the most about the result of, because I just would have been so annoyed if they'd have given Jericho the Ring of Honor World title again. He never needed it in the first place. And after this really felt like this needed to be Mark Briscoe's moment. I know what people are going to say, oh, you're being worked by Jericho because, you want to see him lose. No, I don't want to see him in the spot. But since he is in the spot, I want to see him lose so he moves out of the spot, if that makes sense. Not, I want to see him lose because he's a bad guy. I want to see him lose because I want someone else to have that position on the card and someone else to be on my TV instead of Jericho. Like, that's where I am with Chris Jericho. And I think that's where a lot of people are with him at the moment. Anyway, moan. Main event time. Jon Moxley challenging Bryan Danielson for the AEW World Championship. And as I think it was Moxley's entrance was happening, I was like, I'm not ready for this to be over. Like, so I hope my prediction is correct because I predicted Danielson to win. But this isn't about how ready I am. or how ready any of us are, because I think a lot of people are not ready for Bryan Danielson to be gone from wrestling full time. Like, but he needs neck surgery. He's already been talking about winding it down. If he's ready, great. I'm not. So I was really hoping for a Danielson win here. Mox attacking during the entrance, and the fans just keep singing along and the music keeping blaring. Magic. Love it. Like, like, I think they do it. Is it Anarchy in the Arena? Or it's one of them, isn't it? Where they play the entrance music throughout the match. They did it through the pre-match brawl, and even a fair few seconds after the opening bell, to be honest, on this one. But this was a really fun start. Like starting the match like that felt really appropriate for this match, and also was just really fun and got us through that sometimes awkward bit where the start of the match, where it's really personal, can still feel really awkward sometimes. How do you prevent that? Why you start with a brawl before the match even starts? Like, yeah, love it. This is an incredible match, but I put with little believability in any of the near falls. Yeah, no matter who was going for the pins. Like, there was 3 Busaiko knee near falls, and I don't think anyone believed any of them. The crowd didn't even react to, like, the kick out, and I didn't personally believe that was going to be the end of the match either. Not because I didn't believe Danielson was going to win. I didn't know who was going to win. I just never believed any of the peril that either man was in. I didn't even really believe the finish, if I'm honest, like, until it literally happened. I was like, there's no way they're going to finish this like this. And then they did. And I actually put, but that was how it ends. Pretty disappointing, to be honest. Like, I think the finish to the match was really disappointing compared with the match, the feud as a whole. Like, I think the finish was a bit flat. Like, and then this didn't really make sense to me because, right, so John Mox is saying he has to rid AEW of Bryan Danielson because Bryan Danielson's weak, and he's talking about, you know, going home to his family and blah, 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 and he needs putting out of his misery. Well, Bryan Danielson was leaving after losing the title for neck surgery and then never being a full-time wrestler again. Maybe doing some part-time stuff, but never being a full-time wrestler again. So, of course, Marina Shafir, Claudio Castagnoli, and Pac show up, and them 3 plus Mox put the belt in a bag, which Tony Schiavone predicted, by the way, but then asked what was the relevance of that, and that's a good question. What is the relevance of that? And then produced a plastic bag. So they're like, yeah, we know you're retiring, and that's what we wanted from this storyline, but now we're going to try and kill you again, because of course we are. So, Wheeler Yuta and Darby Allin make the save, only for Wheeler Yuta to hit the Busaiko knee on Darby Allin. Then Darby Allin gets, like, duct taped to the ropes so he can't save Danielson. And then Mox hands Wheeler Yuta a plastic bag, and then Yuta, like, seemed very conflicted about it, but then suffocates Daniel Bryan while begging him to stop moving, which was really dark and really well done. But again, I have to question a bit of a motivation here, which is, what the hell was everything with Wheeler Yuta about? And why did he come and make the save only to do it himself? Like, because it's not, right, so in other scenarios, you can argue, I'm going to do it because I know I can be more merciful. Cast your mind back to Pirates of the Caribbean, where Will Turner's dad, Bootstrap Bill Turner, agrees to whip William, because he knows as much as he has to lay in the lashes, anyone else on that crew who are sadistic, evil, demon octopus monsters would lay it in worse. So he's kind of having mercy on Will by dishing out the punishment himself. That logic doesn't apply here because you're suffocating a man with a plastic bag. You can't have mercy doing that. It's attempted murder no matter who does it. Like, you're trying to kill a guy in quite a grim fashion, might I add. You're not putting a silenced pistol to his head and just going pop. You're trying to make the man suffer through his last breaths. Like, so I don't understand the motivations, and I'm sure they'll do a satisfying, hopefully, job of explaining what's going on in the coming weeks. But in the moment, that was just really confusing. Like, why come out at all to make the save? Why not just cut to the back, and it's like it's Darby Allin trying to run out to save, and Wheeler Yuta as well. And then just as they're running through the curtain, Wheeler Yuta just trips Darby Allin, and then just starts pummeling him and stops him making the save. Like, that could have been a way to turn Yuta as well. Maybe not as impactful, but more logical. So it's that thing of balancing, isn't it? Which one of those is more important to you? Private Party came out to try and save Danielson, because obviously they've had issues with Mox and Co. recently. They were fought off. Jeff Jarrett shows up, and JR, in the most sarcastic call I've ever heard from any human ever, goes, "Not Jeff Jarrett." And I don't know why Jim decided to bury Jeff Jarrett so bad in that moment, but my God, it tickled me big time though. And then they placed Bryan Danielson's neck in a chair, and then Mox came in and said, "Yep, looks good to me." Like, they literally summoned Mox back in just so Mox could go, "Yep," and then Claudio could stomp on the chair. So I don't know, like what the deal is there. Like, Mox is clearly the boss, but like he's clearly a bit of a micromanager as well. Like, he has to supervise every little thing. And then finally, all the other faces show up. The Orange Cassidy, who looks like he's being positioned to be one of the biggest baby faces in the company now, finally, and may even be the one to eventually dethrone Jon Moxley. Took his sweet time coming out. Like, he came out in a hurry when he came out. But my goodness, all these other baby faces that swamped the ring and eventually chased off the Blackpool Combat Club, or whatever they're now called, they were like delayed by minutes. Were they not watching? Like, were they not watching the show? Were they all in the shower? Were they, like, not that fussed? I don't know. And then we had the big dramatic, sort of like the stretcher job for Bryan. Excalibur was I saw some post on social media that he was trying to get that Emmy. Like, he was talking like he was in tears. I don't think he was. I hate to say this. It kind of took me out a little bit of the moment, because Excalibur's acting was kind of bad. But he was giving it he wasn't even giving it the serious voice like everyone else was. He was giving it the cry voice. Like, he was like, I've never seen anything like this. This made me so embarrassed before. Like, it was just rubbish. But bless him for trying. I think the serious voice is enough. I'm just going to throw it out there for commentators on all shows for future reference. Serious voice is just fine. The "Oh wow, I really hope he's okay. Wow, this is a serious situation, guys." When they go like really low and monotone. Yeah, I think that's enough. I think that's fine. Overall, this show, God, the AEW shows are long, but they don't half keep you engaged. Like I really enjoyed this show. The highlight for me was, it was the triple threat, wasn't it? Like you want to have a bit of a different opinion sometimes, but sometimes the best match is just the best match, right? The main event was really good as well until the finish. I will say that. Darby Allin and Brody King was a great, fun little car crash. Loads of fun. Obviously, Hologram and Beast Mode. Like, you know what? I'm going to end up singling out every single match, because most stuff on this card was really good. So, yeah, good show. Kudos. I do want to address one thing, which is that, so I don't think I fall into this category, so I don't think I'm necessarily defending myself here, but I've seen a lot of people talking in the build-up to the show about how every single AEW pay-per-view, in the build, everyone's talking about how this is a weak card, it's one of the weakest cards AEW have put on, and then after the pay-per-view, everyone's like, "Oh my God, that was one of the best pay-per-views I've ever watched." And I do think that's kind of the experience a little bit. I do think that's what people do. I do agree to an extent. However, playing devil's advocate for just a second here, and I know this video is going long, but, hear me out for a couple more minutes. I think that's because people going into a show are rating it on something different to what they're coming out. No one's going into that show saying these matches aren't going to be very good. People going into a show are talking about, the storytelling, the build, And if they personally believe that it's a weak card because there's not that much star power on it, like, yeah, Mox and Danielson's a star power match, like, don't get me wrong. But, like, has anyone been clamoring to see anything else on this card except the triple threat and Mox versus Danielson? That's kind of the point they're making, is, like, has anyone been clamoring to see this stuff? Is it Dream Match City? Which I know not every show can be, because you run out of Dream Matches really fast, but that's what people are sort of getting at, I think. Star power, how the stars are being used, is it stuff we really want to see? You know, stuff like that. But then coming out of the show, people are mostly focused on the actual quality of the matches and the show itself. And the focus has shifted. So I don't think the solution, by the way, is anything negative. I think the solution is to go into shows more focusing on how good the matches are going to be. Because, like, yeah, when you look at this show on paper, Young Bucks Private Party was always going to deliver. Beast Mortals and Hologram were always going to deliver. Mariah May and Willow were always going to deliver. Darby Allin and Brody King were always going to deliver. And then, obviously, Mox and Danielson and the triple threat. But I don't think those particular matches were part of the this is not that great a card thing, which is why I left them out a bit. But obviously, they were going to deliver. And that's like, what, have I listed like 6, 7 matches already? And you're like, okay, so is this the strongest card ever? No. Is it looking like it's going to be a really good show? Yes. And I think that's... I think that's the way to look at upcoming AEW cards these days. Is look at it from a perspective of match quality. If you play TEW, if you don't, by the way, you should check it out. I have a series on this channel. I'm greatly enjoying it at the moment. Check that out if you would be so kind. But... In that there's like the two ways. There's like the two ways of rating shows and matches and angles, and it's performance versus popularity, and you can scale them like as a percentage as to how much they matter. So you can have it be 100% performance, it's just a pure wrestling show, or you can have it be almost 100% popularity, where it's just like, oh yeah, just how much do the fans care about the guys in the ring. That's what makes one of our shows good. And you can like move that slider. AEW are more performance than popularity in a lot of ways, in the way they build their pay-per-views and the way they put on their pay-per-views. Like, don't get me wrong, some guys are really popular, but they're really popular because of their performances, more so than, like, WWE is more popularity than performance, I would say. They have a lot of good performance as well, but I'd say it's more than 50-50 popularity. AEW is performance over pop, perf over pop. Like, when you think of, like, your biggest stars are your Bryan Danielsons, your Moxleys, your Kenny Omegas, your Will Ospreys, your Ricochets, your Takeshita's, your Okadas, your... Like... Are they all super popular? Yes. Are they all super popular because they can all put on amazing performances in the ring? Yeah. Like, they're not all the best promo guys. Like, a lot of them are good promo guys, don't get me wrong. But then I don't think they're popular because they're promo guys. And I think that's kind of the point. So, yeah, try and look at AEW matches on upcoming pay-per-views, or even upcoming Dynamites, because they put on big matches every week. Try and look at it through that lens, and I think you'll stop having that disconnect between what you expect going into a show and what you experience coming out of a show. I think you'll stop being surprised. Like, which, you know, being surprised by it may be part of the fun. You know, going in not expecting that much and always being pleasantly surprised can be a fun feeling. But if you are one of those people that can't quite reconcile what the difference is between the IWC going into an AEW show and the IWC coming out. One is the difference in expectation versus the difference in what they're judging. But two is I think you're hearing different people, like different parts of the community. Going in, the people poo-pooing the show and saying the card isn't that exciting and it's, you know, there's no star power, are kind of not the biggest AEW fans. They can be, quote, E-drones, you know, the tribalism and what have you. And coming out of it, it's all the AEW fans that have just watched the show that are hyped and talk about how good the show is. So it's a different group of people within the IWC. So, yeah. bear those couple of things in mind, I would say. Anyway, I've rambled for long enough. I've got to get this edited, rendered, and uploaded today. So let's crack on with that, eh? Leave a like if you enjoyed this review, especially if you stuck with me right to the end. Thank you very much. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, what you agree with and disagree with about what I've said. Like, I don't mind people disagreeing with me about wrestling. I'm not going to get all funny about it like some people do. Like, I think the fact that we all can't agree on what is good and great and bad wrestling is really a big part of what's really fun about wrestling. So love those discussions. Like, let's keep it respectful in the comments, but let's have a discussion. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new here and you enjoy what I do. I do reviews and predictions for basically every WWE, NXT, AEW, TNA show at the moment. I also do like historic watch-alongs. Like yesterday I just did TNA Bound for Glory 2014. That was a lot of fun. I do Total Extreme Wrestling, the booking show, the booking game, the booking simulator. I do all sorts of stuff on like wrestling related stuff over here, so you should enjoy yourself if you like wrestling. But for now, all I have left to say is thank you very much for watching. As always, I've been Ebeza, you've been amazing, and I'll see you next time.